Hello, everybody. It is 4:28 p.m. Central Time on the 21st of July, 2021. And I've got breaking news. We've got a large earthquake that struck in Central America off the coast of Costa Rica. 7.0, 6.7 to 7.0 preliminary. This may go up or down. It was two separate quakes. First one came in at 6.1 to 6.3. Subsequent 7.0, 6.8. Big earthquake right on the plate boundary. Let me get you in on a plate boundary map from the USGS. Show you where the quake is. Big red circle is where the 7.0 just struck. We're right at the border of Panama and Costa Rica. I'd actually say we're more on the Panama side of the border. Now, I don't know if this is big enough to cause damage at the Panama Canal. I know they've had other large earthquakes down here in the past that did not cause any kind of uplift or side shifting that would damage the canal, but we are somewhat close to it, and this is a huge quake. Now, I want to show you where the quake really happened. Now they have it at 6.9 to 7.0, but it happened right in the middle of this big ring of fours. You can see the ring of fours marked in a pinkish color around the big 7 that just struck. Now, I just got done doing a verbal update on Twitch. I didn't save it, but in front of an audience of several hundred people, I was just talking about this area right here at the center and how it was pointing like a giant arrow over to the east. Now, this earthquake is a result of the push that came across, which you can see here. Two reddish colored earthquakes, or light pink, coming across a couple days ago in the 5 range. Now those can be traced back all the way over to here, where at the start of the week we had new deep 5.0 activity marked in red. A deep red color here raised high off the globe. This came hammering in on the underside of the plate, much like this, but I think it was more like VLF, very low frequency, down in the magma, coming up out of the asthenosphere and hammering into the underside of the plate. Hundreds, if not thousands of miles, focusing in on a single point that then basically jackhammers in an up into the plate. Now that's with the deep quakes, which that's what I think is happening with the deep quakes overall. So the red quake here, a few days back, pushing over to the west, we got big activity and a new volcanic blast from a volcano that hasn't erupted in 5 years. Right over here, a 6 and a new blast, and now we get a 7 on the other side of the plate. So both sides of the plate are moving. We'll go back to the USGS plate boundary map this way, and now you'll be able to see it hopefully on one side of the plate and on the other, both pinnacle tips to the west and to the east, both moving majorly. 6 and new eruption at a volcano we never normally talk about it, and over here, no new eruption, but a 7. Spreading out in both directions from the center point that's pushing up and pressing out in all directions. Now pressing out over to the east, let's go back over to my map here. There's our 2 arrows, and the 2 arrows got hit by pressure coming across over the past several days, letting us know something was coming in. Then furthermore letting us know something was getting ready to happen here in the middle. Right here in the middle, previously, a 6 struck at the start of the week. And was that 6 here? No, that 6 was in a different spot. Let's get that open here. There it is. Or no, wait. Well, it's over 6 days ago, so it's off the feed now. It was on this morning, but okay, it's over 6 days ago. But nonetheless, a new 7 striking in the middle right next to where the 6 was, off by maybe 100 miles. So something is building here in the middle. We'll go back to the USGS map, and now we certainly have to watch over to the east. Everywhere from Venezuela all the way up to the eastern coast of Puerto Rico. So let me zoom in here and show you. I have a warning already going here. So now that we introduced 7.0's worth of energy, it's not that this 7 is going to be causing activity all the way over here. It's that this 7 and the coming activity over here are both caused by an inundating wave. So, and that inundating wave can be traced back all the way over to where the hammering action, whoa, we're slowing down with the number of quakes that are all of a sudden on the feed here. that it can be traced back to over here where the hammering action is taking place. And it's spreading out in all directions from here at Fiji and spreading over to South America. Once it gets to Central and South America, it goes around following our arrows, thus my new warning now having to be issued from Puerto Rico down to Venezuela. At the center point, I'm just going to warn where the rings overlap here on the east side. You see where all these little clusters of rings overlap. East side of Puerto Rico, and we're going to warn them for 6.0 to 6.5. So that's a big earthquake in the Caribbean that should be coming here in the next few days. Most likely, it will strike over next to Puerto Rico. Now, our secondary warned location will be right down here where the little arrow comes over and across. This is technically Venezuela. So my first warned area is most likely the one to be hit. That will be in Puerto Rico. The second warned area will also likely be hit, but not by the 6. It'll be hit by something more like in the 5-ish range. So we should get 2 quakes. Both areas are going to be hit. It's just I have to bank on the one to the north being the spot where all the energy is going to focus on the east-northeast edge of the Caribbean over here. Now it looks like they just brought the quake down. Bring her down, boys. Bring it down. Downgrade. 6.8 to 6.9. What a joke, man. Okay, you know what? At this point, when they do that, I got to go check the station list. Anytime they start doing this kind of crap, taking it down by multiple points, let's go see. Origin page magnitudes. We don't have any local stations to go on, and let's see how they're coming to their determined. Oh, well, I'll tell you what. Nothing better than an egghead in a cubicle looking at a spectro and telling us what the size of the quake is. Stations, schmations, who needs any of that? Let's go down to body magnitude, which says it's a 6. All right, we know that's not right. But let's go down to body magnitude and see. So, yeah, I'm going to have to throw out what the USGS has going on here because, again, they're not showing us. Again, you go find the magnitudes and it says something like this. Well, how do you come to the determination on the magnitude then? No stations were contributed. They don't look at any stations? You just... Oh, boy. Okay. Well, I'm going to say 7. They say 6.9. What's the difference? Well, what's the difference between a 6.9 and a 7? To the average person, 0.1. Not that big of a difference, right? It's a 7, right? Okay. Well, for the history books, let's say somebody 20 years from now, some new young person coming up doing geophysics research, 20 years from now, is assigned a task by their professor, something like this, like, we need to know how many 7.0 earthquakes struck in the year 2020 to 21. And we just want to know earthquake frequency, and you're going to compute the earthquake frequency, how often they happen. And go pull the numbers from the USGS 7.0 and greater. And they'll go over, this is 20 years from now, they'll go over and they'll type in 7.0 plus and do their search. And guess what won't come up? This quake. and not only this quake won't come up, the other 27s that hit this past year that were all downgraded to 6.9 also won't come up. Not 20, but the other 10 sevens that struck aren't going to be there. And you know what they'll say? 20 years from now, oh, it looks like it was pretty quiet then. Yeah, normal, so don't rock the boat. Everything always stays normal. That's why they do it. And what if I told you that they don't just do it to 7s, they also do it to 5s and 4s in the United States so that they can pad the numbers and make it look like there's low numbers of 5s and low numbers of 4s in the U.S. They also do it internationally to a bunch of 5s. They take them down to 4.9. So much so that we created an emoji on Twitch that we post 4.9 emoji when they downgrade to 4.9. They'll take a 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. They'll take a 5 to a 5.9 and take it down to a 4.9. Anywhere across the spectrum of a 5. They will downgrade it to a 4.9. Why? To keep the number of 5s low for the year. Because they said that there's no increase. They said there'd never be an increase. So every year they have to do this. Because they said there would never be an increase and there never is an increase in earthquakes. Have they ever said there was an increase in earthquakes? I challenge you to go find any point where they have ever said that there was an increase in earthquakes. They've never said it. Even when Japan megaquake hit and thousands of other earthquakes were hitting around the plate, they still were saying normal number of quakes. And they started doing the 4.9 business and 5.9 business and 6.9 business on all the big quakes. Padding the numbers. Okay. I'm taking the time to tell you all that because most people wouldn't believe me. But if you don't believe me, let's say you don't trust me, you think I might be making it up or something. Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to turn on the chat room right now. And the chat room is consisting of thousands of paying subscribers over on Twitch. It's live right now. And it's scrolling by on the left-hand side of the screen. And I'm just going to ask the people in chat. I don't know you at all. I don't know you from Jack. Never talked to any of you outside of the chat room. That if you have seen the USGS do crazy downgrading to hide the numbers, press 1 in the chat room. No, somebody already pressed 1. They already knew what I was going to ask. They know what to press. We're just going to wait for it. There we go. Here come the ones. And I'm not making them say it, guys. And I don't know any of these people other than the screen names in a chat room. They've all witnessed it. So as we're witnessing this crazy series of downgrades to hide the numbers, to keep them padded and keep them low, it would really start to make you question when they downgrade a big earthquake like this. And then you go to check, and they're not using station details to compute their magnitudes, which is really, really weird. So I will tell you guys, you need to have an earthquake plan. You need to know what to do. You need to pay attention to the quakes as they're flowing out across the planet. And there is a flow. That's what the arrows are on here for. So they'll help you watch or know the next areas to watch that are downstream, if you will, from where the current earthquakes are. Now, the earthquakes almost already make their own arrow anyway. Again, you can trace the earthquakes and follow it like a connect the dots game where it's pointing over to the Eastern Caribbean. Same thing could be said for the United States, but you just have to zoom in. And if you're using Earthquake 3D, you're going to need to turn down the rings a little bit. But you'll get the same thing. You get almost like a pinnacle where it's pointing over towards northern Colorado or southern Colorado, north and south Colorado. But that's just another example. We can even go in further. Along the coast of California is like a wedge shape, but it's or letter V shape. But again, you can see it going along the coast and going along the California-Nevada border. And it all comes into focus down here in Southern California, where we're having a boatload of new earthquakes and a bunch of new hot spots that I haven't even talked about, but I need to show you right now. Look at the hot spots. These aren't fires. Let me show you what fires look like. Here's our fires up here at Lake Tahoe, Northern California, and Oregon. Oh, wait, you don't see this. Hold on. Here we go. Here are our hot spots for the day. The orange are from yesterday, last night, and the red are from today. Here's the whole country. So you can see where we're focused in on. These are not fires. Again, this would be an end-of-the-world nuclear scenario if this was actual fires. And the computer's filtering them all out, by the way. Sorry, I had a little cough there. So, zooming in on it, all these hotspots centered around the Imperial Fault, the San Andreas, the Mojave Desert. But these are not from the sun. These show up in the middle of the night. They show up throughout the day. They're geomagnetic, electromagnetic disturbances picked up by the weather satellite caused by plate shifting. Now these moved. These were over here around the Sentinel Plain, 600 square kilometer volcanic plain right here called the Sentinel Plain, and they were surrounding it 2 days ago. Now they are surrounding the San Andreas, going out into the Mojave Desert, where I have my warning going right here, where these black splotches are. This is Pisgah Crater right here, and the Lavic Lake. And the hotspots go right out to it. And I mean directly out to it. That's the pinnacle point of it. Then they go down and cluster in on the Imperial Fault and the San Andreas, right here, south by southeast of Salton Sea. So that would mean we would need to watch Southern California for some kind of seismic release. Now, is it any wonder that further down south, we just carry on following the plate boundary down through Central America, and down here where it makes its next bend and fracture, here, That's where our new 7 just struck. Right down here. Now, I just saw something out there in undersea bathymetric measurements that I never noticed before. This. What do we have going on there? I can't believe in 10 years' time of looking at, I guess, well, it's not like we've got big earthquakes here all the time for me to zoom in on. So I haven't really zoomed in on this much, but I'm just going to tell you that, what do you make of it? I mean, come on, a big circular oval shape there in the middle of the area that's fractured. Gee, I wonder what it could be. Here, let me go show you one that's similar. This thing. This is called Tamu Massif right here. And this is Hawaii on the other side of this undersea mount chain. Here's an undersea mount chain, connects into the Hawaiian island chain. On one side we have Tamu Massif, on the other side we have Hawaii. We get over here, and this thing, I mean, you can see it from way far away too. It's the same size almost as Tamu Massif, right there. Look, somebody's been out there looking around at something right on the side of it at this undersea mount chain here. They've been doing a lot of passes. Look at that with 3D imagery. That's bathymetric measurements, undersea measurements using sonar most likely. Okay, so I'm pointing that out because a big earthquake next to it. That's the only reason. So there's some kind of crater shape in there that I've never heard about. Maybe somebody else has talked about that, or they found it and they already know about it, but it's just not marked from the Smithsonian. But there it is. We have an earthquake right next to it. That's where all the plate boundaries come together, and we're going to warn over to the east. Again, if you're in Puerto Rico, you're in Dominican Republic, you're in Venezuela, or if you're across the Eastern Caribbean as a whole, I'm warning the area up next to Puerto Rico. If I'm wrong by 200 miles, that's going to put us over here to the east side, northeast side of the Caribbean. Or if I'm wrong in the other direction, it'll put us over into Dominican Republic. But either way, we're looking at a push coming across. And another way to look at it is just, let's go back to the USGS map here. Think of this like a river, and this is where a storm is. And really, it just kind of flows around in a U shape. But which way do you think it's going to go? It's going to go over to the east. It's going to try and go across the mass, since the push is coming from over here and transferring across our 2 arrows the past 2 days ago. Think of the 2 earthquakes that struck out on the arrows like a train coming across a bridge. And there's vibration as the train comes across the bridge. But once it gets over to the east, again, look where the quake is, and compare to where the fracture zone is here. So we got our quake right out here. Energy came in, went over to the east side. Now it's going to continue on over to the east, and it's going to try and make its way ultimately out to the mid-Atlantic ridge, which I can actually add in the forecast right now, that our X's out here, both should get hit. Both X's should get hit, Ascension Island and up here east of the Caribbean. The size of the earthquakes should be about a magnitude less than what struck over here at the Panama border. So if it's a magnitude less, let's say they're right. Let's say it is a 6.8. Well, that would mean upper 5s are going to strike out here. I spoke in the past tense about something from the future. So up here and down here, both X's, 5.8 to 5.9, 1 magnitude less. And 6 likely over next to Puerto Rico. So 6 and then 5s. We're moving pretty heavy. I haven't even really talked about the United States as a whole. I'm not going to do that in this update. This is just for the big quake. I'm going to save this and put it out over on YouTube so people can be aware we are moving on both sides of the Pacific with major activity in the past day. And over in the West Pacific, a whole different situation going on with the new volcanic blast. I don't even remember the name of the volcano. I guess I'd have to go over and look on the Volcanic Ash Advisory Center really quick and just see. Let's see. Scroll down the list just a little bit. I'll have to file this one back away in the back of my head. Where is it? It was just one note on the list, too. Again, a volcano that never erupts shows up. Well, there's Mount Sinabung. Boy, make a liar out of me, right? It's not showing up on the list now. Or did I just somehow miss it? Well, I'm going to keep going down the list until I find it because, man, that one matters to me. Why is it not there? Again, did I miss it somehow? Maybe I did. I just probably scrolled by it. Look at all the names. They're names that I would never normally remember, except for being into seismic. Wow. No, they really, there it is. There it is. Mount Serung. Man, again, it erupted 5 years ago, right when my stream started. So it's not like I know this volcano. I know all the others on the list. I have memorized. Mount Serung. 100 flight level. 10,000. So a noteworthy ash cloud off that, and it doesn't go often. And that's right over here where the big cluster of quakes is. Right here. On the south side of where the ring is. So big set of quakes over here. Big set of quakes over here. And it's all coming from the middle. The middle is where the push came from and is still coming from as of today with new deep earthquakes. You see them raised high off the globe, marked in white. And there's a whole line of them going down towards New Zealand, where I've got a warning now going. Up here on the north side of New Zealand, the catcher's mitt position, as we call this, it looks like a catcher's mitt, Bay of Plenty. East of the thumb position, and the size earthquake could go up a full magnitude, up above the deeps. The deeps are 4s, deep 4.4. So that means up to mid-range 5s at least. There's just another spot to watch. It's going down to the south, it's going over to the west, it's going over to the east, and it's actually going to be going up across Japan and into Alaska and the United States, which, I mean, the path already did it previously. Look at it. The pink-colored earthquakes are the last 2 days. The push came in and went all the way over to the edge of the craton in Texas. But you can trace the stepping stone path of quakes back over to the spot where the pushes are coming up from underneath. And it goes up and around into the United States this way. It goes across directly into Central and South America this way, which I've already explained 3 times in this update. Word up, much love, big earthquake. Definitely felt across the region. And there's likely more coming, but not there. Downstream. Downstream we have to watch, and that's what the arrows are on the map here for, to help you watch and know where to watch next. So now that we've got a big deposit of energy into the Caribbean, the Eastern Caribbean should be on watch as of now. If you know anybody in the Caribbean, anyone from Dominican Republic, all the way down to Venezuela on the east side, you got to send them an email or something. It's not like you're going to see this on the news. You got to let them know to watch for near 6.0 activity to be coming in next several days. Like, not a long time. We watch for 7 days from today. So today is the 21st. We watch till the 28th. It's not that long. So you can let them know. And if I'm wrong or it looks like something's going to change, I'll get back on and let you know if it looks like the flow is changing. But, I mean, there's not much distance for this to really have to travel even. Getting back over to the USGS map, I mean, well, you guys can do that. Go over to the USGS map if you want to. Look at the red lines on and plot for yourself. But, I mean, I've got the arrows on here for you guys to make it real easy to see which way to watch next. Well, if I can keep it centered on the screen there. Okay, time to save this. I'm going to hit save. We're going to go put it on YouTube, and we will premiere it back immediately as soon as it's done processing. So everybody can know what to watch for. We are going through it right now. The big solar storm that came in, that was minor actually, but a noteworthy solar storm came in, and now we're dealing with it. The results of the core being disturbed, the core of the Earth. When the core of the Earth gets disturbed by a solar storm, there's deep earthquakes that result after that. And then, after the deep quakes, shallower, larger earthquakes spread up, out, and away from where this hammering action is taking place down below the plates. But when the Earth gets buffeted from the sun, strong solar wind, charged particles from CMEs, coronal mass ejections, also charged particles sent via solar wind from X-class flares, M-class flares, large flares, that buffets the Earth's magnetosphere and causes a disturbance down in the core. The core is not a solid ball of metal, nor is it molten. It's plasma energy, like a plasma torch, electromagnetically powered from the sun's charged particles captured from the North and South Pole. And so the North and South Pole in space is collecting charged particles like you scuff your feet across the carpet and pick up a charge. And instead of building up in your body and going touching a doorknob and shocking out, it shocks down to the core of the Earth. And it feeds that electromagnetic dynamo that's hot enough to melt any element and vaporize it into a gaseous state. Imagine it like this. You guys know what a plasma ball is like, right? You see them in the museum. You can even buy them for $5 now and plug them in USB to your computer. And you put your hand on the outside of the glass, and the electricity on the inside is exciting the neon gas inside, and the electrical charge goes out to the edge of the glass, and the glass is an insulator so you don't get shocked. It also contains the gas, and you see the cool strands of plasma that come out. Okay. Same thing inside of the core of the Earth, but it's powered by the sun, and it's not vaporized neon gas. It's vaporized iron, vaporized nickel, vaporized uranium, and it's in a gaseous state. And that's rotating, physically rotating very fast, but also electromagnetically rotating, I would say at the speed of light. Anyway, that gets excited by the sun. And then we see deep earthquakes, and then we see stuff like this. Big earthquakes spread out and away to both sides of the Pacific after the center of the Pacific, over in Fiji, starts to get hammered up underneath by all these deep quakes. So now you know what to watch for. You watch for the deep quakes, and then you watch for the shallower, larger quakes. And then you also know to watch the sun. Watch the sun, and that'll tell you when the deep quakes are going to be coming within a couple days. Amazing, isn't it? Word up, much love. Saved, and over to YouTube we go.